Oh well. Hi, Brendan. Good evening to you too. So, Brendan, I'm going to talk about StarDrifter. By any chance, do you own the Drifter, the first game? Because if you do, if you're familiar with it at all, you're going to find that StarDrifter is very similar. No, thanks, Brendan. Appreciate that. Because I'm just going to go over some just general mechanics and whatnot of the game itself. It's being play tested still, but that's coming to an end. I'm going to be talking to a graphic designer, actually, hopefully in the next week or so, who has expressed some interest in doing the game, doing StarDrifter for me. So I'm pretty excited about that. But anyhow, where should I start here? Well, I guess I can show the map for starters. So that's going to be the map. Really not much to see. That's the whole galaxy. So you see here there's colonized planet hexes, and then beyond that, yeah, it's just all open space hexes. Of course, there are potential to find more colonized planets, and also to lose colonized planets. But it's very open. So, kind of what to expect in a narrative game. Besides that, I'll show you the table sheet here. Now, if you already have the Drifter, you're going to see a lot of similarities, actually. It's the exact same kind of layout, except a mechanical difference would be in the Drifter, there was karma points. Now, and you found karma points throughout events. For StarDrifter, it's going to be a little different, actually. You can get what's called destiny points. The destiny points allow you to re-roll any roll result you get, but you can re-roll any roll result you get, but you have to keep the second result. But it also destiny points allow you to perform different actions as well. So you can repair the hull of your ship, you can heal your character, you can upgrade your weapon power, your weapons on your ship, and that sort of stuff. So there's a number of different options, your thrusters, etc. So the Drifter had one character sheet. You were just controlling the one character. And it's still like that in this game, in StarDrifter. But what you also have in StarDrifter, you have a ship sheet. And so your ship, like a character, can take wound levels. That's just to maintain the kind of simplicity of the game. But there's potential with each wound level you get beyond light wound of your ship's hull that you could potentially end up getting, your character could receive damage. It could be what's called a direct hit. And from there, also, the more wounded your ship is, the higher the wound level of your ship. There's the standard wound levels: light wound, medium wound, heavy wound, debilitating wound, then finally dead, exploded. You lose the game. But for each wound level, it gets harder and harder to make certain skill tests, mobility skill tests, it's called. So the different mobility, that's marked by, it's indicated by certain columns on your skill tests. So with the Drifter, it was card suits, right? It was X, spades, diamonds, progressively harder, right? Hearts, and then spades. With this game, everything is marked by stars. There's colored stars. So there's a black star, there's a bronze star, there's a silver star, and there's a gold star. So those are the four different columns that you'll find on, just like in the Drifter, you find in the Lucre table, which is the money in this game is called Lucre. That's just a name I discovered for currency. Just sounded kind of neat and spacey, but yet old and ancient. And the skill table, the different columns are like I mentioned, the black star, brown star, silver star, gold star. The money table, Lucre table, is also based off, the higher the star, closer to gold star, the more money potential that you can earn in a column. So yeah, that's how that is going to be. That's how that's all mapped out. From the difference from the Drifter is that it's just, instead of card suits, it's just star colors. And then, as I was mentioning about destiny points, which in the Drifter, if you play the Drifter, it is, instead of card suits, it is the different color stars. But in the Drifter, for karma points, instead of karma points, it's destiny points in this game. I thought about that too, Brennan, but there actually is no difference in the shapes right now. I'm going to discuss that with the graphic designer and see maybe if there's something else we could come up with. But that was the initial step of the whole game, just to simplify it, was just in regards to just the different color stars. So that is in consideration. I have thought of that, and I'm going to try to weigh out some options when the time comes with the graphic designer, and we can go from there. But I appreciate that feedback. It's a great point, because I realized with the Drifter was there were some people that had color vision issues, and they were obviously able to tell the columns because of the different shapes of the card suits. So yes, thank you for that. Thank you for mentioning that, because that is in consideration. But as I was saying, with karma points in the Drifter and StarDrifter, it's destiny points, and how you earn destiny points is depending on, there's certain results on all the tables, the event table even, the skill table, and also the money table, Lucre table, that certain results will give you a destiny point. So that's how you get destiny points back. So some of those actions, I should probably mention that as well. Okay, I'll go over the ship sheet. Well, character sheet first. So character sheet, I'll start from scratch here because not everybody's played the Drifter. But with the ship, so the character sheet, we have the character. So the wound levels, just like the Drifter. You have none, light wound, medium wound, heavy wound, debilitating wound, and then dead. Instead of, in the Drifter, it was called finesse. In this game, it's called prowess. And once again, you started with a 4, and then it decreases with each subsequent wound level beyond light. And then after that, just like in the Drifter, you had a hunch skill. In StarDrifter, it's called a mind skill. And it also goes 1 to 4. And there are potentials, though, to also maybe throughout the game, I don't want to spoil anything, but, lose a mind point or gain mind points, depending. It is science fiction, so it's a little easier to implement that. And then you have destiny points. Now, in the Drifter, it was maximum 4 karma points. In StarDrifter, you can have up to 5 destiny points. And like I was saying, with the destiny points, it can be used either to reroll any roll result, or it can be used to gain access to other actions. Like I mentioned, you can spend a destiny point to try to repair your hull. You can spend a destiny point to try to heal your character. You can spend a destiny point to try to upgrade your weapons as well. Because as opposed to the Drifter, where when you found a rifle, for example, it had a set suit assigned to it. So you found a rifle, for example, it had like the third column, which was hearts in the game. In this game, the different columns being stars, you can find different weapons, but you start with a ray gun, and the ray gun starts on the lowest star. But you can use destiny points, or also with money purchased through different various market options throughout the game. Thanks, Chris. No, I'm not evil. I appreciate it, though. No horns. Just need a haircut, real bad. But you can also use destiny points to try to upgrade your weapons to make your ray gun more powerful. And then also through the game, you can find other weapons that start with a higher star. like a laser rifle, etc. There's various weapons you can find. But also in the combat table, there's potential where you could lose a star. You get weapon degradation. So that's always a possibility as well. So the game's opened up a little more, as opposed to the Drifter was very static. But now there's a little more options to be able to upgrade your weapons, make them more powerful, but also potential where the weapon could be degraded as well. Then we're also on the character sheet beyond that, and you can have a maximum of 3 weapons. You can have a maximum of 3 weapons under your weapons column, under your character sheet. And then beyond that, there's something called auxiliary, which essentially is just additional items you might find that are helpful throughout your adventures. And then beside that, you would write down an event number. And that event number you're writing down for reference sake. So you can go ahead and you can be able to flip to that event anytime you want to double check what that item does and how to use it, and if it pertains to your present situation. And then under that, there is the money table, which I had mentioned is called lucre. And that goes up to 480, 500, but there's really no limit to the amount of money you can have. Underneath that, there's star points. Now that's how you win the game. Now there's 2 different ways you can play the game. You can play the game that you simply are trying to achieve to get to 10 star points, and when you reach 10 star points, you win the game. But you can also play, I called it, so that's just the standard way of playing the game, just like how the Drifter was essentially, you're trying to find the $300 and you win the game automatically. With this one, it's when you achieve 10 star points. And to earn star points is done through doing various sectors of interest, they're called. Points of interest, they were called in the Drifter. But sorry, the 2 different ways of playing the game. So you can do the victory condition one, which is, I just mentioned, getting 10 star points. But you can also do high score, which is that you just keep on playing the game until you die. So you just keep on accumulating as many star points as you possibly can until you die. So I call that the high score option. Then beyond that, we have with the Drifter, you have the bounty suit. In this game, you have notoriety star. So staying in line with the columns and all the other tables, just like the Drifter, and it's the same thing as the StarDrifter, is that there are the different columns, and they're called notoriety star. And that just determines essentially your reputation in the galaxy, or different factions, depending how your narrative spins in your mind. So that essentially covers the character sheet. Now, I'm not sure if that's probably backwards for you guys to see. Now, this is all my Bakshi work. This is all just demo stuff. So I'm hoping to get this real nice sort of sci-fi kind of, maybe some light blues in there and some nice shapes and whatnot, and more of a science fiction font. And we'll spin some ideas for that. But right now it's just my terrible using this program GIMP skills. Then after that, we go to the ship sheet. Now the ship sheet it has a few different things as well. It has the like your character, it has your hull health. So you have none, light wound, medium, heavy, debilitating, and then finally exploded, dead. You lose the game. And then there's a middle column here. And in that middle column is that with each wound level you get beyond light, there's a potential that your character takes a wound level. So a direct hit, it's called. And you just simply roll a d4 for each of these, and for each wound level above light, it gets more and more higher percent chance that your character takes a wound. And that could potentially impact your prowess skill, which I mentioned, and therefore make it difficult for you in combat. And then underneath that, there is so here's the hull health. Here is the character damage, quick mark. Hey, Zeblik. Shields, yes, there's potential to get shields. And I mentioned in the character sheet, there's auxiliary here. An auxiliary covers many different possible things: special abilities, various types of ship accessories, character accessories like personal cloaking devices, ship cloaking devices, mines for your ship. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of different ones, actually. A lot more than there was in the Drifter. So yes, there's potential to get shields, and there's actually a potential to get shields even for your, I believe, for your character as well. There's like a personal shield device as well. So there's lots of that kind of stuff that you can get for the ship. Your ship itself starts with and then as you can see underneath here, these are the this is called your mobility star. So when you're called to do a mobility skill action, it's a good idea. It would help, and there's no question. Your horse can be a bit of a jerk in the Drifter, or difficult. But the more damage your ship takes, the more difficult it is for you to make certain mobility certain mobility rules. Because like your skill test in the Drifter, and I said, look, I know you'd remember this, but you can do, like it says, attempt a finesse skill test, and it would tell you what table to do it on, what column to do it on, so what suit, and then mind -2 or finesse -2, whatever, finesse -2. But in ability skill test, it will tell you table C, just like in the Drifter did, but the center column will have a question mark. It's just a question mark, and then a slash, and then mind -2, for example, which just means that you're using your mind skill, but the column is determined by your present mobility star. So the wound level of your current hull of your ship. So that's another mechanic that's been expanded upon. But shields for your horse is an interesting idea. Maybe a Weird West one I'll do next. Then from there, also with your weapons for your ship, just like you have on your ray gun or the other various weapons you can find throughout the galaxy for your character, there's also your cannons for your ship. And they start with the weakest star, which is the black star, but you can also potentially, using destiny points or paying for it in certain starports, etc., you can purchase higher stars. So that will upgrade the power of your cannons on your ship. And so here, and then after that, there is what's called the thrusters of your ship. So if you remember the Drifter, you essentially move one hex all the time. And in this game, that's what you start with. So there's 3 different levels of thrusters. There's 1 hex, so you're just moving 1 hex. And then if you are potentially able to upgrade your thrusters, which either you can do it through destiny points, but it costs 2 destiny points to attempt it, or you can just purchase it at Starport or whatnot. You can upgrade your thrusters as well. I see a lot of people criticizing a lot of games where it's roll and move, but in this game, I made it that I wanted to kind of make it that roll and move is something you want to try to achieve. So even though you start the game with being able to move only 1 hex, the next thruster level up is D4. So you actually roll a D4 for your movement. So you have to spend a fuel. There's a fuel tracker here underneath we haven't got to yet. And you spend a fuel, and then you roll if you have the upgraded thrusters to D4. And then beyond D4, you can upgrade them further one more time to bingo. You can actually warp. So if you get the next thrusters up, it's called D4 plus. And whenever you roll the D4 for your movement, how many hexes you can move on the map, if you roll a 4, you get to warp, which means you get to move to any hex on the whole map. So that was kind of the final level of thrusters I figured it would work. So there is horse, yeah, that's called a carriage in the Drifter, but yeah, you can yeah, there's no thrusters in the horses. But you can upgrade the horsepower of your ship in StarDrifter. So you're trying to achieve roll and move in StarDrifter, which I thought was kind of humorous because I see a lot of people criticize the roll and move mechanics of a lot of older games. But so far, it seems to be working pretty good. So then beyond that, there is the fuel tracker. You can have a maximum of 20 fuel cells. And every time you take a move action, you spend a fuel cell. But fuel cells are unstable. So throughout the events you're taking part in, or that you encounter, the fuel cells could potentially fluctuate, regenerate, or degenerate, depending. So, and then if you end up with 0 fuel, you become stranded, and then that takes you to a whole different event. And that's all part of the move action. Horseport Breach. So yeah, that's how that works. And then instead of points of interest, like you have with your horse in the drifter, in this game, they're called sectors of interest, and you can have a maximum of 5 of them. And if you end up finding 5 and you end up finding another one, you have to replace one of the current sectors of interest you have. What else do we have? We have, okay, here's the combat sheet. So there's 2 different kinds of combat in the game. With the drifter, it was simply character combat. That's all that existed. So in this game, there's character combat, but there's also ship combat. And ship combat is just simply using a different side of your combat sheet. You're keeping track of the ship hull. It just looks very similar to yours. There's 6 of them on there. That's the maximum number of ships or any sort of space combat, whether it being a ship or a space creature or whatever. But there's also a potential that your opponent also loses prowess, just like you can when you receive certain levels of hull damage. And their weapon actually as well, just like I was mentioning, that your weapon could potentially, depending if you have a bad roll on the combat chart when you're rolling to attack, if you roll very low, it can degrade your weapon, so it drops a star. And that can happen to your opponent as well, because on your opponent's sheet it has the hull health, and then it has the indication whether or not they lose a prowess, and then their current weapon star, whether it being black, bronze, silver, or gold. So that seems to work out pretty good so far. During play testing, that's worked out really well. And just like the drifter, your opponent can't have a lower than a 0 prowess as well. What else should we mention here? So all the different possible actions. If you remember in the drifter, the drifter only had it had the move action, and then there was the sector of interest action or enter a town. Well, there's kind of similar to that here as well. There's the fly action, so you can fly to any hex, fly to a new hex, sorry. So there's a move action for that. But then, like I was saying about destiny points, which you can have a maximum of 5 of, you can have additional actions. So here I have listed, you can do a heal action that requires 1 destiny point. And that would take you to an event table, and you roll on the event table to see your success of that. You can upgrade a personal weapon. You can repair your hull with a destiny point as well. You can upgrade your thrusters with 2 destiny. You spend 2 destiny points to attempt upgrading your thrusters. And then you can also attempt to upgrade your cannons of your ship weapon. So that can be used with use a destiny point to that as well. And then there's a sector of interest action, which is just like a point of interest action in the drifter. And then there's the spaceport action. And you can enter spaceports only on colonized planet hexes. And the map starts with 3. Those red dots on the map indicate there's 3 of them, 3 locations on the map that are currently, they're called colonized planets. And you can do an enter spaceport action there. And there's plenty of different outcomes that can happen. Now, besides that, I've printed out the rule book, but I have not printed out the event book because the event book is going through a lot of work right now still. I'm doing a lot of proofreading on it, making sure everything is correct, because it's significantly larger than the Drifter. The Drifter event book was like just under 50,000 words in there. The event book for this game, it's just over 108,000 words right now. So it's pretty substantial. It's actually 200 pages without even properly spacing out all the tables yet. So it's going to be massive. I don't know. It's going to be really large, the event book. But I tried my best to do as many references as possible to all the different various science fiction tropes and films and books and whatnot. But it's going to be pretty big. So I'm hoping when I talk to the graphic designer that they'll be able to get started relatively quick on getting the map done, the character sheet, the just the general sheets, table sheet, and then from there we'll move on to the rule book and the event book. And the rule book is it's pretty much the same size as the Drifter. There's just probably maybe a couple extra pages really beyond it. Besides that, I mean, I'm trying to think of what else I can mention. The money table, that's where you can potentially find a lot of different items, just like in the Drifter. When can we get it? I'm hoping for a release this year. I'm hoping. I'm pretty optimistic about that. It's going to come down a lot to what the graphic designer schedule is like and everything, but everything's moving along pretty good. We're at a stage now where things can be started to work on a final level of the whole thing. So it's not just what should we do with this, what should we do with that. The only thing that is in question is we might look at the crystals. Oh, the crystals. Yeah, no. Well, the crystals. Crystals was an original mechanic. That instead of destiny points, it was called crystals. There was actually crystals you would use, but the crystals still exist in the game. But oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I look forward to you trying it. But they're still in the game. Crystals can just get you destiny points in a hurry. So it's something like a mysterious alien technology, and it allows you to gain some destiny points. So, but besides that, it was scrapped at the suggestion of one of my playtesters. He thought that maybe the crystals was, it was okay, but the destiny points might be a little better. And show you how it gets burned off in 10 years. There's a lot of crazy things that can happen to you, for sure, in this game. I mean, it's kind of fun to see when, with the brief descriptions that happen, like in the Drifter, for example, where people kind of pick up where the references come from. But there's a lot of that in here too. And if you really pay attention, you'll find that there's a lot of different. There's some classic sci-fi tropes going on here. Well, I'll tell you what. If your hair looks that good, you start the game with 3 destiny points. If it looks that good, give yourself 4. But besides that, I mean, skill tests are pretty standard. Like I said, you can do a mind skill test. You can do a prowess skill test, and there's what's called a mobility skill test. And a mobility skill test involves the mind and prowess skill, but it's considered a separate skill. So, and there's so many different. I really expanded on the different possibilities of things you can find in this game. Things that enhance your character's abilities and your ship's abilities. So, yeah, I'm excited to get it out. But if anybody has any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Try to see if I can think of anything else to mention here. But we've clarified that my hair is not horns. And gaining and losing colonies plants. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's potential for certain things to happen in the events. Like I'm not sure if you've ever had it even happen in the Drifter, if you played enough for it to happen, but there's chances where you could lose a town, or you find new towns. It kind of works in the same regard. It's just that throughout the events, you'll see that there's ways for it to appear and disappear, for some colonized plants to exist and not exist. So, but I don't want to give you any spoilers unless you want a couple of spoilers. I can tell you. But this one was a lot of fun to make too, compared to the shoot. You want to? Okay. Well, I'll read you. No need. Okay. All right. We got one who says no, so we'll pass. You can send me a private message that if you like, and I'll I'll give you a breakdown. But yeah, I mean, this one was a lot of work, just like the Drifter, but it seemed to have flowed pretty well. I'm kind of excited for it, but I appreciate the feedback on that, because that was one thing that really bothered me, Brendan, what you mentioned there about the stars. If there was a way to get unique symbols, just to pick some uniquely shaped symbols, and then I can go ahead and get that changed up, because that wouldn't be a lot of work. Dark Star. Well, Zevlik, without any spoilers, there's a couple references to Dark Star in here too. I got a lot of them. But that pretty much covers most of what I wanted to get across, I think, for tonight. What else can I? Anything else I can show you? I don't know if there's anything else I can really show you, because I got junky graphic designer skills, so I've pretty much shown you everything that I have. Yeah. But I think I'll just end it from there. But if anybody else has any other questions or anything, I mean, you can go in the Drifter Facebook group if you're part of that, and you can ask me questions there. I usually check it fairly regularly. We can go from there. Thanks, Brendan. I appreciate it. There'll be announcements as I go still on the StarDrifter, the Drifter page. I'll do it through Facebook, and also through the StarDrifter Board Game Geek page as well, the StarDrifter Board Game Geek page. So I'll be sure to put up there as well. So I hope you found this reasonably entertaining. And ETA, yes, like I was saying, I'm hoping by the end of this year. But like I said, it all rests on the graphic designer. So I don't know exactly when, but I'm feeling really confident. Depending on her schedule, that week we might be able to crack this by just in time for Christmas. But we'll see. We'll see what we can do, because it's fairly comprehensive. So it's got a lot of text associated with it. But thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate the questions, guys, and have yourself a great night.